Production and logistics. Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
this is like I'd say it's kind of like the bread and butter. Like this is really the meat of the
Yeah.
business. This is,
Yeah, because you're like in it to win it. It's
yeah,
like there's no going back.
yeah, this is like where everything is. Oh crap, I'm in here. This, like you said, there's no going back.
Yeah.
All right. Here we go in three, two, one. What's up, y'all? Welcome to the Sports Medicine Broadcast, a podcast to promote and improve your practice as an athletic trainer. This is round three. Alicia and Jay are coming back discussing how they've done it. Alicia, again, as more seasoned or experienced business owner and athletic trainer. Jay is still in the new process of being a business owner. Again, Alicia with SI boards. So if you're looking for her up, it's si-boards.com. And it's a balance board. Check her out. So you can do all sorts of dynamic stabilization, rehab. Jay is the owner, founder of Nexus Sports Medicine, where they have the dead bug. As a former Marine, he said, this equipment, this gear that I have is not good enough. And so we were just talking before, he's got a kind of a reveal for round two or product. They were using some fancy word, rendition or something. Product number 2 coming out in the next couple weeks. And so here we're talking about logistics and production. So actually getting the product out to you, the athletic trainer. So again, this is sportsmedicinebroadcast.com/AT Inventors 3. So the first one is AT Inventors 1, and then AT Inventors 2, and then this one 3 is we're talking about production and logistics. So Alicia, Jay, welcome back. And again, I look forward to where we get to share other people's stories when we come back sometime in March and just discuss, like Toki will tell his story about being on the Shark Tank. You know, he's on the first part of Shark Tank, and those different stories of other athletic trainer inventors, just to help share your stories and improve the process for everyone else to follow. So welcome back. And then who's going to start us off?
Oh man, I think Jay's got to start us off. He just came
Okay.
in. He's like,
I know this is I'm
bring
excited
it.
about this. Yeah, so just all right. So I'll read off. So production. I think when everyone talks about production, the question is, all right, where's it being made? So for me, so obviously my stuff is made overseas in Asia. The tricky thing is when it comes to production in general, you really have to identify, within your market where most of your products made. So for me, a lot of bags are made over in Asia, but you can't just be very broad of Asia. You have to sometimes specify between different countries. So within the bag industry, specifically tactical bags, I know that China, Taiwan, and Vietnam, yes, they all make good stuff. And then the tricky part is also finding your supplier. So once you find your supplier, do your shopping and get quotes and all that stuff. That's where you kind of figure out, okay, how do I literally place an order? And when it comes to placing that order, so taxes, it doesn't really affect me much because obviously it's overseas. Alicia, I'll let you touch on tax a bit in your end, but duties. So one of the agreements you have when trying to start production or product is duty. So my deal with my supplier is I have a DDP, which means that my supplier or the seller is responsible for when the products ship from their factory, wherever the warehouse, to the location where they're going to be sold, resold, all that stuff. So what that means is that literally, if my products were on a ship, they're on a plane, something happens, if something unfortunate happens to that ship or plane, and and all the lot and inventory is lost, they assume all the liability and the costs associated behind it. So, and I think it's something as any business owner, if you're doing product, you have to get these types of measures looked at because usually when you place an order like this, you have a contract. Take a time, look at your contract, and make sure everything's written in paper. In my deal, I have trade assurance to make sure everything is covered if anything happens. If the products don't look right, they're not met to my specific specifications, yeah, I can request all my money back, even if 500 bags are made. It's a huge hassle, but it's these types of measures you have to take for accountability because, as Alicia, we just said earlier, yeah, you're all in. You can't. There's really no turning back. So you have to make sure you protect yourself as well. A little bit of CYA in the product industry. Do you want to go cost per unit, Lisa, or you want me to get into that?
Yeah, we can do that. Well, on the
Okay.
so because I haven't done international
Mhm.
uh, manufacturing coming into me. So it's super fascinating. I'm on the other end where I'm actually producing it. So the trade insurance, is that something you buy annually or with each shipment?
Yeah, so with my so I have a third party, I guess, program that I that I use to ensure the deal is made under trade assurance. Now you could go through other websites and platforms that would connect you through other suppliers. And when you're also looking at suppliers, you have to also note this very key thing: if they are a trading company or a manufacturer. And some of them are also both. So when you're dealing with a trading company, that trading company is kind of like the middleman to where, okay, I'm going to ask for these types of bags. The trading company actually isn't the one that keeps them in stock. They're actually going to reach out to other suppliers they work with to find the bags they want. If you're directly talking to the manufacturer, yeah, they're the ones literally make the bags in-house. And then you'll find some companies do both. My supplier does both, which is kind of nice, just to see a bunch of different things. And they have sister companies as well.
Yeah, so it's sort of more contained with your manufacturer.
Yeah.
If it doesn't go through several hands to get to you.
Yeah.
How long did that process take from, the finding the right company to manufacture, and then
oh god,
the paperwork?
Months.
Was it pretty long, or?
It was months, because not so, and we'll get into that in the other topics, but the main questions I asked them first: can you do custom design? What's your minimum order for custom design? Do you work with small businesses? Do you have flexible payment options? Those were the things that were difficult, because the easiest thing for a supplier is, and you'll see it all over Amazon and other spaces, where you have, for example, this brand of, I don't know, water bottles. A supplier loves it to where you have a buyer that just wants to buy the water bottle and slap the logo on it. So when you're doing more custom work like me, it is a bit more tedious on their end. So it's really just finding that supplier that's willing to work with you, and you have to really build that relationship early on to let them know, hey, I'm in here for the long run. I'm trying to do things. I'm really trying to make things work. And then you'll kind of find out from there, is the supplier really going to work with you, and is it going to be a last longing relationship? Yeah, just continuous discussions. Just because as someone as small as me, it's sometimes they're not going to give you the light of day, or just going to be companies who literally just want to take your money, do one order. And it depends, because if you find the right company, they want to do a long-term relationship, because guess what, they make money too. It all goes full circle. You make money, they make money. You have to just develop that trusting bond.
Right. Yeah, with my vendors, I have different, it's not payment options, but the way that I afford them and pay them is different. Like my rail guys, I do a check, on pickup. So and then with my urethane guys, because they, sometimes as a manufacturer, I mean, not on my end, but as a manufacturer, you don't get paid. You have these long terms with these other companies, and sometimes they just don't pay you. I've heard this happens like with Home Depot. They just sit on the invoice forever and ever and ever and ever. But you need their contract with Home Depot, right? So you're just kind of like, what do I do? But with my urethane guys, I do half down, and then I get everything, quality control it, finish it, and then I'll pay the rest of the balance. And that helps with being a small business, or a small business, or if you're going to a small business manufacturer as well, where sometimes they're just sending out a ton of inventory and they don't get paid for 30, 60, 90 days. So that's all of their money up front into a huge order. They constantly do a thing for these like grinders, these parts for these grinders, and they're like, still haven't gotten paid. Still haven't gotten paid.
That's
so,
wow.
Yeah, so that's something to consider if you do go into business. How are you going to get paid? And if you are distributing to, say you have a final product, you're distributing to a small mom and pop surf shop or something like that, they don't necessarily always have the cash flow, and so they can't pay you up front, and they'll pay you when your product sells. I mean, there's a lot of different ways that those things work out, but that's something to consider because cash flow really is one of the hardest things to keep on hand for daily
No, it's
operations.
difficult. And I know Dave Ramsey loves to say cash is king, but it's difficult to upkeep cash flow.
Yeah. Yeah.
Is it okay if I
yeah.
move into cost per unit?
Yeah.
Is that cool?
Yeah, absolutely.
All right.
Go ahead.
So cost per unit, dealing with a product and minimum orders. So obviously, if you are, if I were to somehow have the cash flow to order 5,000 dead bugs, oh yeah, that cost per unit is going to heavily go down versus what I did this first round with 300 bags, and then eventually before I moved to 500. But kind of what's happening on my end is that trade agreements, government restrictions, because producing nylon, I don't know if you know, Alicia, is actually not a very eco-friendly process. So my suppliers have had issues, and then I literally placed this order right now because guess what? The prices we're going to go up again. So I think also for everyone who's listening, just to consider within the product industry is also understanding how are your raw materials made? Are there certain things affecting it within the factories around the world? For me, nylon is it's a very simple thing to work with on hand, but creating it, I don't know the process, and there's things going on. And then when you're pricing it per unit, so for me, I was given the quote, and that quote kind of envelops everything from how the products are shipped, the DDP costs, the handling costs to get the goods over to the factory here. That's what's kind of enveloped in my cost per unit. My manufacturer made a good job of making it very clear. Other places may do it all separately. It can be really confusing. So if you do it all in one, it may look a little bit higher, but at least incorporates everything you're looking for. And for example, different fabrics might cost more. The Cordura, it costs more than the even upgraded polyurethane nylon I'm using for this next round. Something I can't control, but that's where also you have to figure out your pricing to figure out, do you have to make slight changes between those two variations of fabric? What makes sense and what's easier. And the big thing, minimum order quantity. I think that's a magic question that people always ask. The first thing that I looked for, my hunt for a supplier was a supplier, can they go as low as 300? And I was lucky to do that because I didn't know what was going to happen with the dead bugs. And then when it shot up, I said, okay, let's go to 500. But for the most part, anything under 1,000, a lot of manufacturers will say that's pretty small. And right. For someone like me, that's very scary. I talked to another supplier about another product I'm working on. They said, yeah, our MLQ is 2,000 units. Oh God, that's a lot. That's a lot. And this product is smaller, so okay, I'll store in my house. So I'm just thinking also 2,000 is a lot. That's so just keeping
in the future, you're going to be like, I need an order for 2,000.
Yeah, well, this order, for whoever's watching, you'll get a heads up. This order I did is for 1,200, almost. I know it's crazy. It's almost 3 times the size of the original order. So it's like kind of go big or go home situation because I need to keep bags in stock. I don't like to keep, customers waiting. So I had to make this leap of faith in the big jump. It was a really big jump.
Yeah. Congratulations. That is.
Thank you.
Woo, manifesting abundance.
And I think, just slowly, little over time, like, maybe the next order at this, it'll be 2,000, 3,000. That's just, again, cash flow craziness. But at least you have any comments on, I guess, price per unit for you that helps you make your pricing for retail?
Yeah.
From your end?
Right. So from my end, because we're doing things differently than you, early on, my brother has a friend from high school, and he's sort of the king of Central Valley, California, with his with mainland surf and skate shops, and he also manufactures overseas as well. But so we talked early on about product, and he said, you've got your product cost and all of your associated costs. Get all that dialed in, and then add 15% on top of that to your cost. Yeah. And that to account for anything unknown that's going to happen, like the price of glue goes up, the price of wood goes up. You have that flexibility, and if it doesn't go up, then you have that added income coming back your way. Yeah. But I get this comment a lot where people are like, you just need to double the cost of manufacturing, and and then you're fine. And
some people say triple too.
Yeah. Well, this is a comment that people don't understand the pricing, or they think that, all you have that these are just consumers who don't really understand everything. But really in your pricing, I mean, you should try to shoot for 5 times, because when you have, it depends on your product as well, but you have you're gonna have fixed costs
Mhm.
like rent, insurance, worker comp things,
Yep.
like just electricity, yada yada yada, on
Mhm.
top of your cost of goods sold, which is your your parts to make your product, right? And then
Mhm.
you have to factor in the time it takes to sand each board, to silk
Yeah.
screen each board, the whole time to manufacture. You have to factor in your storage space, accounting for, these boards are going to take up this much space on my pallet rack. How much space does that, what's percentage of that rent is attributed to that amount of space, and then that
Yeah.
gets factored into the cost of your product. And then you finally, after you sit down and you have this spreadsheet that's like, whoa, you add your 15%, your 15%
Yeah.
buffer, basically. Always have a buffer, and then you look at it and appropriately calculate your profit margins, which
Mhm.
isn't just 1 times 2 times 2 times 2 times 2. It's a
Yeah.
calculation of your cost, your retail price divided by your I think your total, your final price, but it's a
Yeah.
calculation, and that gives you a point system. And so when you're really thinking about manufacturing, are you direct to consumer, or do you have a distributor that goes to
Mhm.
maybe a secondary distributor that goes to final retail? And if you're
Yeah.
doing that, you really have to really add in a lot of different
That's where it gets. I agree. That's where it gets
steps.
complicated.
Yeah, and that's where,
Yeah.
because everybody needs to make money, right? So
Yeah.
you can't do really slim margins because you think
Mhm.
that the consumer wants to pay a less price for it. You have to protect yourself, and you have to really think in terms like, my urethane guy needs to maintain his business and feed his family and support himself
Exactly.
so that he can continue to make my urethane thing. So I need
Mhm.
to afford him and pay him and not be, slim on the margins. um,
Yeah.
so
And it's
yeah.
also not sustainable too when you're very slim in your margins.
Yeah, you can't grow as a
No.
business, so you really have to price appropriately. And so here's like one thing that I love, these ultra,
Yeah. Mhm.
the sand discs, right? So I was looking it up. I'm curious creature. I'm like, let's go to Amazon, see what it is. So um the the 32 gig, hold on, I gotta move the screen. 32 gig is 1389 on
Mhm.
Amazon, and then you go up to 128 gig, and it's um, $30, and you go up to 512, and it's 124, and you go to one terabyte, it's 278. Now this
Yeah.
thing hasn't changed. It's the same. It's the same shape. It's the same everything. I'm sure it's got precious metals in there and everything,
Yeah.
but and obviously you're paying for the storage space. But
Mhm.
this little guy, they don't have to change. The only thing that they really have to change is like the wording on the packaging. It's still got the same um, tooling and mold, and maybe change the sticker out, and obviously the
Yeah.
components on the inside.
Yeah.
But when you can have something like that, right, where it's very multi purpose, everything, and you just make a few
Yeah. The
changes, and
components are very easy to.
yeah, like
Mhm.
200, like $13 to $200 for this
Yeah.
seemingly the
It's
same
also
thing,
kind of
right?
like. It's also kind of similar to certain car models. Oh, it's based on this platform,
Right.
truck versus SUV. You see that a lot, so kind of it helps with cost. Because I had someone say,
Mhm.
"Hey, are you making a smaller dead bug?" And I said, "I really want to, but it doesn't make sense right now because
Mhm.
because I could technically use a similar platform, but no, I would like to do it based on what you're talking about too,
Mhm.
using similar parts, but it's just
Mhm.
not there yet."
Right, yeah, it'll come when it needs to come.
Mhm.
Yeah, you get your core things
Yeah.
solidified, and then when you're ready to diversify
Mhm.
because the market needs it, it's great. But I've
Yeah.
also seen it companies where they've diversify, and then all of a sudden they're like, let's add this and this and this and this, and they're so broad that they lose focus on their primary breadwinner product. And
Yeah.
so they've got to dial it all back down and go back to the basics. So yeah, just it's great to have all these ideas, but you know, maintain your focus so that you're not you spread too thin.
Yeah, definitely have to keep it level-headed.
Yeah, yeah. Keep your sanity as well. Yeah.
Yeah, and also want to comment too. Like I don't know if you run into a situation to where you want to make a minor adjustment, and for me, it almost added almost $3 per unit, and I was like, oh my god.
Mm-hmm.
Have you had that experience to where I don't know if it's a change of parts or where it's just
Mm-hmm.
surprising how one little change or even just a small part can heavily affect that unit price. It's just,
Mm-hmm.
and that's where sometimes it can stunt. I get whether it's growth or just trying to make changes to the future for future models.
Yeah, yeah. So it adds $3 to your unit, which means you've got to add like 15 or
Yeah,
$20 to
it's
final cost, right? To your final retail
it's
price. Yeah, yeah. Um,
it's
yeah. There's times where we've had that. I mean, the price of cardboard keeps going up. My shipping boxes, I have to have
I
custom
agree.
shipping
Mine are
boxes, and they just keep going
yeah,
up.
mine. I really didn't want cardboard shipping boxes, but when everyone got their for packages, they loved it because it said Nexus. I'm like, okay, maybe
Mhm.
I should let's stick to the cardboard boxes and work on that.
Yeah, sometimes it's those tiny little details that are great. I will say, as far as like a shipping box in your product, it's not necessarily you want to design your product around the ease of shipping, but
Mhm.
there are easy ways to ship things flat rate because they fit into a certain size box.
And
And then
that's where I got screwed.
yeah, and then there's dimensional weight. There's dimensional weight,
Yeah.
and then you get above a certain weight and
Mhm.
size, and then it all adds that in there. So I just kind of got stupid lucky with the largest board is really large, and
Yeah.
the box that it ships in is just right underneath the 108-inch like dimensional thing
So you didn't
for
have to
you
go
to sort
custom
through.
made. You could just go with. That's awesome.
No, my shipping boxes are custom made for sure.
Oh, they are. Okay.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, yeah. There's nothing on the market that because the way they fold and yeah. Anyway,
Okay.
uh, but the size of it, I
Hmm.
can ship that large box without having the added surcharge of an oversized product.
Oh,
So
that's good. Okay.
yeah. So if that is a concern, I mean, obviously you want to make the product that is going to fit properly, but if
Yeah.
you can save like 1 inch on your shipping box so that it gets into the flat rate fee or something,
Mm.
and you can ship more within a more confined space, then that makes you more efficient, saves you money,
Yeah.
it's easy. The U.S. Postal Service has these boxes. They're a medium flat rate, and they fold a different way. They're more of a elongated box, but
Hmm.
it has an adhesive strip.
I know.
So you
I
just
like that. They're good.
so I don't so if I choose to ship something with that, then I'm not
Mhm.
taping you know a, I'm not using a ton of tape on it. Now on my
No,
shipping
exactly.
boxes, like they're taped like man, Armageddon, man. Like nothing's gonna fall out of this thing, right?
Yeah.
But it's those really tiny things, right? Where
Hmm.
maybe you can get away with a box that has a self-adhesive and it makes you more efficient too, and just psh, psh,
Yeah.
boom, done. Yeah, ship it.
That was irritating
Yeah.
for me because I really wanted to go with kind of the ones you get on Amazon. Those those really that soft plastic shipping
Oh yeah.
shippers.
Mm-hmm.
But it just didn't seem like I still have to work on it for this next order, but it didn't look like we could try to get something specifically the size of my bag. I believe so
Mm,
because I had to end up paying for custom cardboard boxes, and I'm like, oh
yeah.
my god, this is just not cool. But
Right.
again, as we talked about, the people loved it. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
and I think also for damage protection, maybe that works.
Yeah. So in thinking about, is this going to make me? It's more money up front to have custom shipping boxes, but I have the
Yeah,
security and peace of mind knowing that there isn't going to be a hole put through the box because of
and that's
shipping or
something I've been
damage.
grateful for. Okay.
Yeah, because then that takes then you're going backwards, and you're now
Hmm.
having to deal with all of these issues with the shipping material and
Hmm.
maybe damage to the product, and then
Yeah.
really did saving like 50 cents really help out in the long run,
Yeah.
right? Yeah, so for me it's like buy a little extra if you're going to Home Depot and you need to get I don't know, something, uh, like a couple of washers for one teeny tiny project, always add a couple
Yeah.
extra washers in, because
Yeah.
it's so inefficient to have to go back there and buy, an extra
Yeah.
bottle of glue or whatever.
So if you're
exactly.
watching on Facebook or YouTube later, I actually bought these from Sticker Mule. So it's like a little poly mailer that you're talking about. And like they're talking about, it's
Oh, yeah.
custom. So it's got the
Yeah.
Sports Medicine Broadcast logo, and it just makes it's actually cheaper to mail using this than if it fits it ships box. Because
Right.
they weigh per ounces, and since I was just shipping like one shirt, it was costing me like $7 versus $3. And
Yeah.
and then also it comes in this cool plastic bag that
Yeah.
has the logo on it. So those type of things, they're cool, and it definitely makes it like, oh yeah, hey, I know what that is, and you get excited rather than whatever. So
Right.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like I said, I got those from Sticker Mule. They always have some sort of sale and something like that, but I don't do nearly as much shipping as you guys do. So
Yeah. Well, when you
That's
need to
cool.
ship a ton of shirts and the price per the weight changes, then you slam everything you can in the flat rate shipping, like up to 70 pounds, right? Unless it's international, then it's 20 pounds. But yeah,
Yeah.
you just, I was at the post office once, and this guy had this order, and they had to wheel it out in this little cart, and it was like squeak, 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 and he could barely pick, I don't know what he had in there, gold bars or something, but he could barely pick up these their flat rate boxes. So they were like, $15-20 a ship, but they were they were so heavy. Oh, I don't know, filled with steel something or other. Jay, are you still there?
Yeah, I'll be right there. I had to go to the bathroom.
Oh, okay, great. Yeah, those that little bit of customization, Jeremy, really is a really nice touch, and it's not anything else that's out of your way that you have to do, right?
right, yeah.
How
I mean,
many
rather
many
than
did
just
you
a
have to
plain
purchase?
gray plastic bag, it just
Right.
oh yeah.
Yeah. How many did you have to purchase? Was there a minimum?
I don't think so. Maybe 50. I don't know. I
Okay.
mean, Sticker Mule, they do pretty low quantity stuff. Like the stickers or the coasters that I got, I think maybe 50 or 100, that kind of thing.
Mhm.
Do they do like really small ones?
But like sizes,
Yeah, like really small.
I mean,
Let me see. I think yours is pretty small.
yeah, I mean, mine it would be I think it's like a whatever normal sheet of paper is 8.5 by 11, so it's like 9 by 12.
Okay. I'm gonna roll that then for when I sell my patches. So,
Yeah.
Mhm.
And they may do
Sweet.
something smaller. I'm not sure, but
cool.
So here's a one thought on production is
Yeah.
When early on I needed to have some vinyl sticker things made for a part for a molding thing to test something out. So I talked to the sticker company, and it was gonna be like $95 because there's a lot of weeding out of the the logo and yada yada yada. And I was like,
Mhm.
okay, for like 10 stickers, $90. I'm like, okay. I'm like,
That's a lot.
why don't I invest in a like a silhouette cutter or my own vinyl plotter and cutter? And I found one at Michael's, and it was like $120, probably had a coupon. That sticker vinyl cutter for $100 and some dollars has it's earned its weight in gold, because I can use
Mhm.
it for anything, and everything. And now whenever I need something, I'm not waiting on a vendor or having to send a design, or I could make something custom, or I could make some
Mhm.
weird sign that I need.
Yeah.
So sometimes when you're ready to sometimes you just need a one-off, and it's only going to be a one-off. But if it's something where you're continually going to use it, making the investment to buy a piece of machinery that is going to earn its money back immediately is really great. And then you potentially have a secondary income stream if you wanted to, like a side sticker business, or you're making something for your kids or something. Yeah, and I did want to mention, like, from last week, that you and I are in manufacturing and distribution and retail, but there is another option for those of you who don't necessarily want to have like your own huge business entity and structure, and that is a passive income stream. And really, the idea long term is to work less and make more money so that you have better quality of life balance. And I know that's probably maybe an odd concept for athletic trainers because you're the first to arrive and the last to leave, and we're just such giving people that we're like, yeah, I'll cover it. But at the same time, like by continually saying, yeah, I'll cover it, we're sort of like doing ourselves a disservice. So, in trying to make more money and work less, there's things like passive income streams where you see this a lot on Amazon, where you set up an Amazon shop and you set up a vendor who makes that thing for you, like the burrito blanket, right? The blanket looks like a burrito when you're all wrapped up, and they make it and they ship it, and they're direct, so and then you get a percentage of that income, and it'll take you work up front to set everything up, but then you just sit back and you just like Donald Duck, just the money's coming in if you do it correctly, so that might be a little side hustle if you're if you're interested in something like that, where somebody does all the work for you and you just get a percentage of that.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of companies that are set up like that. There's a lot of t-shirts that are direct to garment, or the ones where you can customize your t-shirt. Right?
Yeah.
And you put like Jeremy's like I love my wife, like his email signature. I sent that to everybody. I was like, oh my god, you guys gotta check this out. Yeah, and so they do it for you as long as you trust in that company. So yeah, there's lots of different ways to have your business structured. Yeah. All right,
we are.
I don't know. We're all over the place.
We kind of touched a little bit on vendors. All right. Quality control setbacks. Do you think we touched on that, Alicia?
Yeah.
The only thing, I only have one comment on that.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. So quality control. I think. So for me, as someone who doesn't have a lot of access, to a massive warehouse and a whole, Lewis supply and team, what I did to kind of first establish, I guess, quality control was prototyping. Let me get my first prototype. All right. So the MMK, first thing I designed, and what I really wanted to see with the MMK, I didn't care that I paid, an expensive cost for one unit. This was an investment to really see, one, how was a manufacturer? Are they worth it? Are they going to put out and design things exactly to my specifications? Can you just follow those simple directions? And with this bag, from my experience, I went through it. I used it, just literally analyzing the stitching. Is everything where it needs to be? Are the seams right? And my football coach, who was a parachute rigger in the Army, took this bag, and he has a lot of really good experience with just stitching in general. And he just tried to rip it apart at the seams where he thought there would be stress points that would, not do it. And this bag passed easily. So I think that was kind of like a very, I guess, low cost way of checking quality control. But going to the big end scale manufacturing, what I did with, since I'm international, I hired a third party inspection company. I use SGS, they're worldwide. And SGS is cool because they will go into any factory, as long as it's a verified factory. It's a third party person, and they give me an inspection report. So literally in the inspection report, it shows the inspector from SGS at the factory verified it's there. The SGS inspector has specific parameters they go through. They link up with the factory. All right, we're going to pull. For me, they pulled 50 dead bugs out of different boxes.
All right, I'm not sure what's going on. If it's still streaming live, it looks like we have lost the Zoom call.